Peace and blessings, YouTube family. Hope everyone has had a marvelous Monday. Hey, listen, welcome to another edition from the Doctor's Corner. Exciting times going on right now, family. We are today, I think, we are 8 days away. Eight, count them down, 8 days away from perhaps the most pivotal election in most, maybe I shouldn't say most, in many of our lifetimes. Um, we are November the 5th. If you haven't voted already, if you're in an area where you can take advantage of early voting, I certainly encourage you to do so. If not, if perhaps you're in a state where you can only vote on the day of the actual election, by all means, I certainly pray that you will do that as well. I tell you, family, it is. These are interesting times, right? Very interesting times, regardless of what side of the aisle you stand. I can't help but think about a book that I read. I think I mentioned this book um, in one of our previous conversations. This is a book that I read when I think I was getting my master's, I think it was. Yeah, had to have been in terms of organizational leadership. Many of you, who are familiar with that world, know John Kotter is, someone who is revered in the management, change leadership, change management landscape, right? And so the book is basically a book by him. And the name of it is Our Iceberg is Melting. It's really a fable, but I got to tell you, family, if you get a chance, get your hands on a copy of this book, because if you really want to understand the complexities that are involved in change and all of the different levels, right? In terms of the resistance, the level of negativity, the level of cynicism, skepticism, all of these different ingredients that go into the aspect of change, right? And so the book is centered around a colony of pigeons, right? That discover that their iceberg is melting, right? So visualize this for a second, right? Visualize if you woke up tomorrow and you put your TV on the Weather Channel and you find out that they say in some form, some fashion, um, Earth as we know it today is coming to an end, right? This is in essence the scenario that these penguins found themselves in. Their iceberg, this was their home, and then they find out and discover that it's melting, which means if it melts, they're now in the ocean. They're gonna get eaten by whales, sharks, the whole nine, right? And so there was this one particular penguin that had discovered this phenomenon, that had discovered that underneath their iceberg there were cavities and caves of rushing water. And so he came back and basically provided this information to the powers that be, right? To the penguins that were in charge and had leadership roles and that sort of a thing. And for the most part, everyone was in disbelief. Everyone discounted it. They said there's no way, it's not that bad. It can't be that bad. Whatever, right? So this one particular penguin ends up spending a lot of time just to get someone on the leadership council to believe him enough to go check it out for themselves, right? So put that in perspective now. Your world is coming to an end. A messenger arrives and is able to provide you with valuable information in terms of your life is about to be changed for the worst, and it's about to change soon, but you don't believe it. Right? So all of this time gets spent, and in terms of fighting through all of the skepticism and all of the naysayers and all the disbelief, and so finally the council, one member on the council decides to actually confirm what this pigeon has reported. They do their own search. Basically, they go with the pigeon, the one that discovered these cavities up underneath the iceberg, and lo and behold, they see it. Right? And it was, oh my God, this is real, right? So now you have a senior leader pigeon, right? Person on the council board that now sees it for themselves and takes this back to the leadership council to say, we have a major severe problem and issue that we must resolve, and we got to resolve it now. So all of the resistance that this quote unquote nobody pigeon, that brought all this valuable information to the colony, all of the resistance that this pigeon received, now this senior council pigeon is now getting the same level of rejection, getting the same level of disbelief, getting the same level of cynicism, right? And so finally they end up, getting a group together, and they get more eyes on the situation, and now it is more of the pigeon of the colony now has accepted it because they've seen it themselves that yes, we do have a problem, right? And even though they've commissioned out this entire council to come back and say, truthfully, this is what's going on, this is what's happening, you still had a large portion of the colony that didn't believe it. Then you had another portion of the colony that accepted that it may be true, but could not conceive the idea of relocating, of doing something about it, right? So the fear of change, the fear of the unknown was, they felt more comfortable in that than the idea of actually thinking about what we need to save our lives, right? So they wrestle less with the idea of saving their lives simply because of the fear, right? And so while this is a book, while this is a fable, right? How real is that in the times we're in right now? How real is that? I mean, we hear so much today, right? Whether it's Project, 2025, and you got other different forms that are happening right now that's going on, adjacent to this Project 2025. And you got one side saying, oh, don't believe it, it's not real. You got one side saying, oh, all 900 pages of it is real, right? And so you have these two different spectrums, right? And then people will say, they'll spin it. You got the naysayers will say, oh, that's just political spin. That's just the two sides just trying to get people to fight and be at odds against each other, right? Maybe. But what if it isn't? Right? What if Project 2025 is our version of our iceberg melting, right? What if, so let's take it away from that. If that's too close for you, if the political analogy is too close, too uncomfortable for you, look at your own personal life, right? If maybe you have a financial advisor and that financial advisor is looking at your finances, he's looking at, he or she is looking at how much you have in your investment accounts, your 401ks, your IRAs, that sort of a thing, and they're telling you that basically based upon your age and what you have today, you're probably going to have to work another 40 years before you can even begin to think about retiring. Now, here you are now already 40 years of age, right? Let's say you're 35, you're 40, you're 50, by God, and the prospect that you have now to work another 40 plus years. That's so you're provided that information. What do you do with it? You say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? Oh, I don't believe it, right? So all of the same cynicism, the same negativity, the same level of disbelief that the Penguins had, it's the same disbelief you currently have. Well, no, that's not true for me because one day I'm gonna hit the lottery, right? Or one day, whatever your one day scenario is, it still leads you to a point to where you feel, even though this valuable information has been brought back to you, it's been revealed to you, it's been shown and proven, this is what you currently have, right? If something happened to you today, this is how much will be coming in terms of income for you. And so based on just the cost of living today, you don't have enough. You're going to have to work on. That's your iceberg melting, right? Because the whole idea, if you ever had a plan of retiring one day, if you ever had a plan of being in a scenario where you didn't have to get up and go to work to be able to survive, then you're in trouble, right? Your iceberg is melting. Okay, so for those of you who say, well, I'm already retired or that's not my issue, okay, let's go another scenario. How about your marriage? Right? How about that relationship you're in that where your partner is saying to you, hey, listen, the way things are currently going, the way things are currently operating, this isn't going to work, right? We're in a scenario whereby we got caves and cavities underneath our foundation that's about to sink the entire deal. Our iceberg is melting here, right? Our marriage, our relationship is crumbling here, right? These are the things that you're going to have to do. These are the things you're going to have to stop doing. And just like the colony of penguins, you're in disbelief, right? You're cynical. You just, oh yeah, whatever. That won't happen to me, right? And you play the odds, and then you find yourself one day where now the reality hits. And now, so you project forward, whether that's 3 years, whether that's 5 years, whether that's 10 years, whether that's 20 years, whatever it is, right? And because you didn't take heed that your iceberg was melting, and because you didn't take heed to explore all of the different scenarios that you could do to save yourself, all the different scenarios that you could do to create a better life, a more fruitful, a more productive, a more satisfying life for yourself. And so now you find yourself looking in the rear, right? Now you begin to self-sabotage because now you're saying, "Oh my God, I wish I would have listened. I wish I would have believed it back then. I wish I had done this, right? I wish I had done that. Wish I had started that business that I was so afraid to start, right? Wish I had, lifted those weights or, exercised for at least 15 minutes a day, right? And so now I wouldn't be in the physical situation I'm in right now. Wish I had listened to my spouse, my mate, in terms of all of the things that they pointed out that were problematic. And so now here I am now having to face, this whole grand scheme of life alone, right? For some, that's no big deal. For others, That may not be the reality, right? And so, what are you doing, family? What are you doing to ensure, first of all, that you identify if your iceberg is melting? Do you have some issues? Do you have some challenges, whether that's on the job, whether that's in your business? For those of you who are running your own businesses already, right? Do you have some employees that really just not fitting the bill? You need to change. You need to go out and interject within your company some new vibrant talent, but you won't do it because of fear, right? Your iceberg is melting. What do you do? What are you going to do? Are you going to stay stagnant and just accept the fact that your iceberg is melting and I'm just going to die? Are you going to do something about it? Are you going to be proactive and say, no, I refuse to just accept that the worst is what's allotted out for me, and I'm just going to sit here and wait for it to happen. So I'm not going to go vote, or I'm not going to go vote for the very people who stand completely on the opposite side of this doctrine that is set up to destroy all of our society as we know it today, that would create a scenario whereby we go back into a level of uncivilized nature, right? Where it's not safe to drive on the streets, it's not safe to leave home, it's not, right? That's what this Project 2025 is. And so either you decide you're not going to vote, right? My iceberg is melting. I'm just going to just sit there and just wait for the demise to happen. I'm not going to vote, or I'm not going to vote for the side that's at least presenting a different and better scenario for me than that. Or I know my iceberg is melting. I know my accountant has told me that I don't have enough in savings, that I need to cut back on what I'm spending, and I need to save more. I need to invest more. But I'm not going to, hey, listen, I don't believe it. My iceberg is melting. I'm going to be okay. So I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to continue to just ceaselessly spend more than what I make, right? I'm going to go out, even though I know I have boxes of shoes that I haven't worn. I've forgotten about them. I have so many I don't even know, right? But I'm just going to keep buying them. Even though my accountant told me, hey, listen, you got to get on a budget. Even though my accountant told me that, forget that. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Right? I'm gonna live my life. I go out and I work hard. I make money. Hey, I'm gonna live my life, and so I'm gonna buy me some more shoes and pile them up on top of all those shoes that I don't even know I have. Right? My iceberg is melting. I'm just going. Hey, listen, I don't believe it. I'm in disbelief. It's not gonna happen to me. Right? I'm just gonna continue on. Family, I'm encouraging you today. Past couple of conversations we've had, we've talked about fear controlling you. Right? We've talked about you identifying the very thing that makes you happy, that you can begin to recreate your nexus, have a better direction because your focal point is you're chasing that pleases your heart, pleases your spirit, pleases your soul. I continue to encourage you today. Don't make the mistake. Don't make the mistake that some of these penguins made. Even though all of the evidence had been proven that there was a major problem, that their iceberg was indeed melting. And they decided, even when the colony sought out and found another more stable iceberg, there were some who decided to stay behind. Don't be that. Don't be those penguins. I'm encouraging you for you. I'm encouraging you for your own future. I'm encouraging you for the generations that are coming behind you in your family. Don't be that cynical, disbelieving penguin. Don't be the scenario. Don't be the individual or individuals that here's painted out to you in clear cut fully in black and white where you can see it, there's enough evidence that says there's a potential problem that needs resolving, that you need to do something to better prepare yourself. So just in case, if this evidence comes out to be even remotely true, that you're prepared, you have a countermeasure already in place that will best position you for life. I'm encouraging you, family. Listen, fear, disbelief, all of those different things. Listen, release yourself of that and really, really, really focus in on what kind of life do you really want? What kind of life do you really, really feel you deserve? And if you come from a community where people have beat you down and got you to a point to where you don't feel like you deserve the best of life, I strongly encourage you, you need to get around some different people. Get around some different people, right? And explore the possibility of a greater life. Explore the possibility of what can you provide to society that can make this a better place before we all leave here. Can you imagine that world? Can you imagine a world where all of us, I mean, kinetically, we are all working extremely hard for the world we live in, the air we breathe to be better, so that when we leave, we can leave something better for our children, something better for our grandchildren? What kind of world would we have if we had less cynicism, if we had less disbelief, and we had more people that would stop arguing and fussing about is climate change real or not, right? But that would recognize the fact that, wow, okay, so we had two hurricanes to hit in one general location, and then went 600 miles inland and caused as much damage or more damage inland as it did on the ocean, on the coast where the hurricane first came. So, how much of that do we need to see before we stop arguing and fussing and being at odds with each other about is this stuff real, and begin to start focusing on what can we do? What can we do in the here and now to create better solutions? What can we do? What can we do within our own homes to begin this process of having and creating better communities, right? With our children. It starts in our home, right? We start here, and then we can start, positively affecting our neighbors, and then eventually we end up having, this holistic approach and effect, right? I'm just encouraging you, family. We got 8 days. We don't know. I don't know what kind of world we're gonna have in the next 8 days. Um, Whether you believe in any of the political stuff that's out there or not, I've given you several scenarios in terms of, as we talk about that iceberg. I think it applies across the board in many, many regards. If you're sitting there listening to this tonight or tomorrow or whenever you hear this video, just go find your mirror. Look in that mirror and explore what icebergs you may have in your own individual life that may be melting. And then ask yourself the question, what are you going to do about it? You just going to sit there and let it just melt? Now you're in the ocean, you're eaten by sharks and whales. Or are you going to do something different? Are you going to go through the process of trying to repair that iceberg? Are you going to go through the process of scouting out to see if you can find a more stable iceberg? Whatever it is, are you going to choose life? Are you going to choose death? Are you going to choose stagnation? What's your motivation? What's your motivation to fight? What's your will to fight for your future, for the life that can be beneficial to not just you, but to all of civilization? I pray for you tonight, family, as I continue to pray for our entire country. I pray that if you can identify your iceberg and you can identify whether or not it's melting, that you find the courage to do every single thing you can to survive and place yourself in a position where you can eventually thrive. I'm wishing the best for each of us as we go through this thing we call life. If you would, family, hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with all of your family and friends. We are in some very, very pivotal moments. And I totally believe the more of us who can come together collectively for the common good of mankind, for the common good of society, for all of us, regardless of what color your skin may be, regardless of what gender you may be, regardless of whatever your sexual orientation may be, regardless of how much money you have, regardless of how much money you don't have, regardless of any of those things, I totally believe that if we can collectively come together as a human race of people who desire and want peace overall, right? If we can join from that measure, that we can create a world of love, we can create a world in which we all can be happy and joyous to leave our homes and go to parks and go to the store and just live out a great life. For some of you, that may sound like Disneyland to you, but I have those hopes, right? I, as a grandparent, as a grandfather, I have those hopes for my grandchildren. I have those hopes for my children. I want to be able to see that. And so I'm just hoping, family, that we can all make the right decisions. Let's recognize and let's really take inventory of our icebergs. Let's find out if we got some problem areas that we need to resolve. And I pray for you that you will make that right decision and do everything you can to have a fulfilling, fantastic life. So until we talk again, family, like I said again, hit that like button if you would. Share this video, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Let's grow this community. Let's create a space where we can be able to come together and have adult, mature conversations so that we can progress to a society that one where we can potentially be better, be stronger, right? So peace, be well.